Claire and Charles, a marriage marked by deep secrets, silences that wound, and scars that never truly healed. An unexpected reunion rekindles intense memories, but also stirs jealousy, suspicion, and a hidden danger that grows with each passing day. Between painful losses and truths that change everything, they draw closer, yet the truth that surfaces could tear them apart forever. Now, a pregnancy completely changes their fate, but it could also destroy what little trust and love remains. And you? Do you believe that a love, wounded by betrayal and doubt, can be reborn and survive the test of time? Tell me, in which country are you listening to this story? Geneva, Switzerland, year 1982. Claire went pale the moment she saw the tall, confident man walk into the hotel with an elegant woman by his side. Blonde, of course. He had always had a weakness for blondes. Countless of them must have crossed Charles's path over the last 5 years. But at least this one wasn't Allison Marlowe. Charles walked toward the reception desk, and Claire watched him quietly from a distance. He was 39 now. Those silver threads at his temples hadn't been there before. The lines around his eyes and mouth sharper, deeper. She stepped behind a pillar, just as he and the woman entered the elevator. She had always known they would meet again someday, but she wasn't ready. Not yet. She had met Charles when she was 18. They had fallen in love without hesitation. But her teenage dreams shattered the day she lost a baby she had carried for 5 months. The memory of that day was carved in pain. She woke in a cold, sterile hospital room. Lost. I'm sorry, Mrs. Hargrave, but you've lost a baby. Baby? What baby? Rest a little, Mrs. Hargrave. Your husband will be back soon. Back? Where did he go? Her mouth was so dry she could barely feel her tongue. Mr. Hargrave had to go to the office, the nurse explained, tucking the blanket around her. Ah, of course the office, Claire murmured bitterly. She turned her face away, hiding the tears. I suppose I really do need to sleep now. Shall I bring you something to help you rest? You must be feeling weak. A heavy drowsiness began to pull at her eyelids. Baby? What baby was that woman talking about? When she opened her eyes again, reality hit with brutal force. She had lost her baby. That tiny life that had been growing inside her was gone. She kept her eyes closed, refusing to face the world. A sob caught in her throat as she buried her face in the pillow, letting the sadness spill out in silence. Claire, a hand touched her shoulder. Charles, did you finish your business? Her voice came out cold. He frowned, and she wondered how many hearts had he broken before asking her to marry him just 6 months ago? You were asleep. There was nothing more I could do, so... Of course not. You managed to take care of everything, didn't you? Her laugh was bitter. Too obvious, I know. I didn't even go to the office, Claire. She forced herself to sit up, as if denying the pain could somehow make it disappear. Call someone, please. Charles leaned toward her. Let me help you. Just lean on me while I adjust the bed. No. Call someone else. Anyone but you. Her voice cracked with desperation. He stepped back immediately, face still composed. There will be other babies, Claire. No. Her voice was fierce. There won't be. I don't want ever again. Never. Her fingers clutched the sheet tightly. You're exhausted. Try to sleep. I'll come back later. Going to work? To the office or to Allison's house. Allison? You mean my secretary? Is that what you're calling her now? Her cruel smile barely hid the ache beneath. You're more tired than you think. You're imagining things. Sleep, then we'll talk. My question is simple. When can I leave here? About 15 days, the doctor said. You'll still feel weak after that. I've always been weak with you, she said, voice steady despite the anguish. But that's going to change. What do you mean, Claire? I know you're in pain. Was it a boy or a girl? Don't think about that anymore. It's better to forget. Boy or girl, Charles? He sighed. A girl. You didn't want either one, did you? Her irony smothered the grief buried inside. Don't say that. She pushed his hand away and turned her face. If that's all, I just want to sleep. She curled under the covers, as if she could disappear. Claire, he touched her hair. I'm sleepy. Goodbye, Charles. I'll come back tomorrow. Claire stayed still until she heard his footsteps fade. Then the tears came. Every painful memory from the recent past returned. The morning she had gone to the office with baby clothes in her bag, excited, but when she arrived, Allison wasn't at her desk. She heard voices, Charles's voice, and Allison's. It wasn't about work. What she overheard confirmed her worst fears. He was with Allison. She had fled that building, as if running from hell itself, and she swore never again would she allow his touch. The morning Charles came to get her from the hospital, the silence inside the car spoke of a pain too deep for words. Are you settled? He asked. Yes, thank you. When they arrived at the house near Montreux, the governess welcomed them. So glad to have you back, Mrs. Hargrave. Thank you, Mrs. McCall. Would you like some tea? Something light. Claire stepped into the sitting room alone, leaving Charles behind. She was confused, trying to understand why they had even married. He didn't love her. She knew that. A man in love wouldn't seek another woman when his wife needed him. And yet, they had met at a dinner hosted by her father. That night, he had invited her to the theater. The meetings became frequent, the kisses deeper, and in just 1 month, they were married. The honeymoon in the Canary Islands had been perfect. Passion, tenderness, and then silence. And now, nothing remained of that. Only the bitter taste of betrayal. Your father is coming to dinner, Charles announced. He still doesn't know anything. I thought it best to tell him in person. It's going to be a shock, Claire said, staring into the void. He took a sip of whiskey, cold, detached. A little early to drink, isn't it? Does it bother you? No. What the hell is wrong with you? Charles burst out. I know the loss was painful, but... You know... Claire shot back. It doesn't seem like it. Do you think I didn't suffer too? But this isn't the end. She picked up a crystal vase, eyes fixed on it. I feel so old, as if I've lived 100 years. You've always been the most full of life. Your enthusiasm was always your strength. Easy prey for a conqueror like you. Are you accusing me? He grabbed her hard. The vase crashed to the floor. If you hadn't held me like that. You used to beg me to want you. She stepped away silently. His words cut like blades. Don't touch me, she whispered, tense and angry. Mrs. McCall entered with the tea. Charles explained calmly. An accident. The vase slipped. Silence fell. Claire thought of the distance that had grown between them. There was nothing pure left. No true love. You could travel somewhere sunny, the governess suggested. Maybe another day. Charles cut in. Today I can't leave. Claire interrupted. Allison meant more to him than any trip. Silence again. You're not going anywhere without me. Charles shouted, authoritarian. Go to hell, she shouted back, moving to leave. He caught her before she reached the bedroom. Never speak to me like that again. She stepped back, startled. Leave me alone, Charles. In an unexpected gesture, he pulled her into his arms. Cry, Claire let out. I'm not crying, she said, swallowing the sobs. The doctor said there could be strange reactions. I don't want to trouble you with my things, she retorted. Our bedroom, he murmured softly. Ours. Claire shot back. You've stayed away from me for months. I intended to change that now. Now that I'm no longer pregnant, you expect to be welcome? Claire, please. I said go to hell. She threw herself onto the bed, exhausted. The thought of sharing that room with him was unbearable. Why had he chosen her as his wife? If he had never said the word love, his touch had been shared, serving a desire with no commitment. Even those moments had been divided because there was Allison and maybe others. She fell asleep in the dim light and woke only when she remembered her father was due to arrive. She tried to compose herself as Charles stepped out of the bathroom. wearing a blue robe, his expression set with determination. "Why didn't you wake me? You needed rest. Now we're late. Greet my father while I take a bath." He threw the robe onto the bed, moving toward her with familiar ease. "Come, darling." "Not now," she stepped back. "I miss you, Claire." "This isn't the time. I just want to kiss my wife." "We don't have time. My father will be here." "To hell with your father. Let go of my arm, Charles. I don't want to be your wife." He stepped back, but before leaving, he cast a look that seemed to tear out what was left of her soul. Claire stood in the doorway, a hollow running down her spine. In his arms, she felt nothing but desert. It was over, and yet every detail returned as if it were yesterday. The hospital, the loss, the silence, the betrayal. Charles's eyes, the absence of love. Her father, the pain. 5 years had not erased a thing. Claire returned to the present with a quiet, contained sigh. Still shaken by the whirlwind of memory, Claire could barely contain her anger, seeing him there as if nothing had changed. "Care to explain what's going on? What you're doing here?" Charles ignored her, walking toward one of the rooms. Claire rushed after him, each step tightening her nerves. "Charles, I'm talking to you." He pulled a pair of brown trousers from a wardrobe, grabbed a cream-colored t-shirt, and calmly dried his hair. "You're acting like some hysterical old woman," he laughed, looking her up and down. "And in those clothes." "What's wrong with my clothes?" Claire snapped. "You're only 23, yet you dress like a woman 10 years older. Like you've just come from a funeral." She thought of her father, lie between life and death, and tears filled her eyes. "Oh, Charles, how can you be so insensitive? My father's in a coma, fighting for his life, and no one knows if he'll survive." "The doctor told me there are signs of improvement," Charles said, exhaling slowly. "It seems he's starting to respond." She widened her eyes. "Then I have to go back to the hospital. I only came to shower and change clothes." "I figured. You look like you've spent nights by his side, without sleep. You're visibly exhausted." The tension finally broke. Claire began to sob loudly, desperately. The trauma of the accident, her father's condition, and now this meeting, it felt like a nightmare. "Hey, easy." Charles stepped closer, wrapping her in his arms. "Get some rest. You're falling apart." For a moment, she wanted to give in to that embrace, to let him take care of her. Even after all these years, she still thought of him. She repressed a longing as if it were betrayal, but her body seemed to beg for comfort. She took a deep breath, swallowed the tears, and pushed them away. "Take your hands off me before I scream this hotel down," she said, her eyes burning with hate. Charles stepped back with irony. "Let it never be said I forced an embrace." "Go to hell." He smirked. "Heard that one before. Your favorite phrase, isn't it? Can't we talk without violence? Even after 5 years? I never hurt you. Never tried to stop you when you wanted to leave. And I never regretted leaving you. Not once." "Not once?" he asked. "Never missed our moments together?" She had wanted him, suffered his absence, but buried it deep. Still, that first contact had lit the old flame. "Our moments were perfect. Even with your inexperience, you drove me mad with passion. I told you, you were unique to me, but it wasn't enough. You walked away." Her tears returned. "You've changed, Charles. Do you think I cried before?" "Believe me, you never cried over our daughter's death." "Never cried," she gasped. "God, I cried until there was nothing left in me." "Then why didn't you come back home when you stopped?" "Back to you? You dare call me your wife." Her voice trembled. "I am your husband," he said firmly. "Oh, really?" She laughed bitterly. "And what's the name of that blonde woman at the hotel?" "Janet," he replied coolly. "She's just my secretary." "Original," she said, grabbing her bag. "Excuse me, I'm going to the hospital. Coincidentally, so am I." "Why?" "I need to visit my father-in-law." "Did that mean something to you?" "Always did. Your father was my friend before you ever appeared." "I'm sorry. You're right." Charles opened the door for her, waiting until she passed. In the car, he lit a cigar The familiar scent filled the air, bringing painful memories. "Tell me about the accident, Claire," he said, breaking the silence. She shuddered, remembering the sound of metal and the Rolls-Royce hitting the front of their car. "Things happen. The other couple got out unhurt, but my father. Were you badly hurt?" "No. The hospital said you stayed 2 days. They had no right. They had every right. I needed to know how my wife was." "How did you even hear about the accident?" she asked, surprised. "I was in the U.S. on business. Got a message from Ian Smythe." "Ian? He still works with you?" "No. Has his own company now. Married Anthony Miles's only daughter, right? Laura Miles." "Yes. Do you think it was love?" "Love." Charles scoffed. "Laura's sweet and pretty, but what really counted was the money. Are they happy?" "Seems so. Maybe money does buy happiness." "I don't think so. We looked happy, and yet you left me. And you know why. She was my daughter, too. You didn't want her. She was a burden to you." "Shut your mouth," he snapped through his teeth. Claire sobbed. "I'm sorry. We never really talked about it. Any fractures from the accident? Just observation. Nothing serious." When they arrived at the hospital, Claire felt small, vulnerable, walking beside him toward her father's room. Her father lay pale, a bandage on his forehead, for dripping slowly. "He does look a little better," she said, holding his hand. "I thought he was dying. The doctor said there's hope for recovery. They said that before, too." Claire sat and squeezed her father's hand. "I always talk to him. It may sound silly, but I think it helps." "It does. I'll speak to the doctor. Keep talking." Claire spoke of the unexpected meeting with Charles, the anger it had stirred, and forgot to ask how he'd gotten into her suite. Charles returned. "No change, but he's improving. In a few days, he may wake from the coma. Thank God." Claire breathed. "But I still don't understand how you appeared in my suite." "Our suite," he corrected. "Our? Don't be ridiculous. When you book the room under my name, they automatically put you in the suite I rent year-round. I didn't know. I'll switch rooms as soon as I'm back at the hotel. Don't even think about it." "Why not? What would people say if I stayed in one suite and my wife in another? Since I'm separated, that would be normal. Not going to happen. I'll take turns with you here at the hospital. You need rest." "You don't have to." He took her chin, making her look at him. "Have you looked at yourself? You're thin, pale." "I've lost weight," she said, touching her hair. "You're not eating properly. You cry too much. Your nerves are frayed." "I'm sorry." "Don't be. I'm just surprised. 5 years ago, you seem whole. Now you look broken." Claire squeezed her father's hand. He had been her rock, listening without judgment, giving her shelter when she left. "I wasn't whole. I'd just woken from the childish dream of us being happy. You must have laughed at my illusions. I thought you were charming." "You mean naive." "I meant charming. I bet you've met plenty of charming women since we separated. Like Janet." "Janet's my secretary, nothing more." "And do you think secretaries never sleep with their bosses?" "I think you know exactly what you're implying. How many secretaries have you had since I left?" 3. "Only 3? Surprising." "Please." "And all blondes." "Blondes. You prefer blondes. Then why did I marry you?" Silence. Claire sighed and stood. "Are you going back to the hotel?" "I think so. I'll stay with your father a while." "All right. You're right. For me, it ended years ago." She kissed her father's cheek, turned to leave. "The conversation's over. I'll be back in a few hours." "Claire." Charles caught her hand before she reached the door. "Yes." "Haven't you forgotten something?" "I don't think so." "I think you have." She stepped back. "What do you want?" "What do you think?" He pulled her close. The world spun. He held her tight and kissed her. The rush of feelings, the heat, made her tremble. Time seemed to stop. Seconds felt like hours. She heard him groan with desire. felt his hands trace the lines of her body. It was like a dream. She gathered herself, broke free. I wish you'd never touch me again. Sorry, but that's impossible. I've always loved kissing you. Me and hundreds of other women. He laughed. Only you in my life. What a cynic. Janet's waiting for you at the hotel. She left, slamming the door. In the hallway, a nurse smiled at her. Your father's health is improving greatly. Claire forced a smile. Yes, thank you. Charles, I mean Mr. Hargrave, is with him now. Ah, Mr. Hargrave, you must be relieved you located your husband in the United States, right? She closed her eyes. That was the version he had told them. Yes, of course. Shall I take some tea to your husband? I think he'd like that. He'd love it. Thank you. She walked away, irritated at the nurse's courtesy. Back at the hotel, Claire had time to think about Charles's kiss. After losing the baby, she'd never let him touch her again. And now, it seemed he'd forgotten all of that. The memory returned. The night she came back from the hospital, and her father arrived for dinner. It was terrible, terrible, her father said. Yes, Charles replied, but there will be other babies. No, she screamed. Never again. I don't want children with you. You adored her, as long as she wasn't yours. I don't want children of yours. Claire, her father said. Charles's voice hardened. This conversation is between me and my wife. Reluctantly, her father left the room. Now we'll talk seriously. I'm leaving today. I'm going to my father's house. And you think I can't stop you? I know you can't. Can't I? Suddenly, he lifted her and kissed her with fury. She froze. Remembering that same kiss he had given Allison, he let her go coldly. If you can't kiss me anymore, fine. Go to your father. When you've cooled down, call me. Your place is here. I have no place. And I hate you. And now, I hate you too. He walked out. Claire was stunned. Her father had lost his memory. Not entirely. But he did remember they had been separated for 5 years. We have to tell him, she said quickly, looking at the doctor, that Charles and I are separated. I don't think that's wise right now. Charles cut in, his tone firm but contained. I agree, Mrs. Hargrave. The doctor said seriously. He's not ready to know that amnesia has erased the last 5 years. And there's also a heart condition. Heart condition? Claire's voice tightened. What do you mean? A few years ago, Edward mentioned he was having heart problems. Charles explained, his voice grave. How long ago? For years. But I didn't know he never told me. He probably wanted to spare you. Now, he won't even remember. That's why we have to protect him as much as possible. He won't realize the risks. How long until his memory comes back, Doctor? Claire's voice trembled. It could be hours, days, even weeks. There's no way to know. Weeks? And in the meantime, the safest course is to act as if it were 5 years ago. His memory will return in its own time without pressure. But we can't, we're not. My wife is trying to say we're separated. Charles interrupted again. I see, the doctor nodded. That does make things more complicated. How so? Charles asked. Mr. Darrow has no other injuries. Just a head cut. He'll be discharged in a few days. Normally, he would go to your home. But since you're separated, we're not divorced, Charles corrected. Only separated. Well, that opens another option, the doctor continued. I'd suggest you consider a temporary reconciliation for Edward's sake. Just a professional recommendation. Of course, Charles replied, expression unreadable. We'll talk, and then decide. Once alone, I am not going back to live with you, Claire said firmly. I knew you'd say that. As always, you think only of yourself. You're selfish, Claire. Think about your father. Imagine if he finds out we're not that happy honeymoon couple, that we're actually apart. We can't go back, she breathed uneasy. She remembered his kiss, her body's weakness around him. The idea of sharing a roof was unbearable. Charles studied her, showing nothing. I don't want to relive it either. I married you impulsively. Madness. I'm not looking to restart this marriage. But I do want to help your father. The choice is yours. I'm confused. I don't want to stay with you longer than necessary. But my father needs support. No need to decide now. He won't be discharged for a while. Couldn't we just tell him you were away on business? She asked hopefully. Not very convincing for someone who's just come back from a honeymoon, is it? His tone was laced with irony. No. He sighed impatiently. Let's go see him. We'll decide the rest later. She knew there was no other way. Even with her resentment, she had to think of her father. At least Charles seemed willing to help, without obligation. That mattered. Don't think about it now, he said calmly. Pretend you're a happy newlywed. I remember how naive I was, she murmured. I can explain that in one word. Claire, desire. Liar, she shot back, indignant. You like making love, he said, eyes on hers. And so did I. For a while, until you tired of me. I never understood why you married me. You didn't. He brushed a strand of hair from her face. For a very good reason. What reason? She pressed. The time for explanations was before you left. Now, smile, Claire. Let's see your father. Reluctantly, she managed a smile as they entered the hospital room. Her father's pale face lit up. His eyes shone with joy. So, did you enjoy the Canary Islands? It was wonderful, Claire replied, forcing her voice to stay warm. Charles put an arm around her in a perfectly staged scene. Claire is shy. We barely left the hotel, he said, feeding the illusion. She flushed, remembering the passion she truly felt on their honeymoon. I suppose you even forgot to eat, he teased gently. We had better things to do, he added with a light laugh. She looked at him, silent. He was thinner, but still attractive. That's amazing, Edward said. And you, my dear? Daddy. She hugged him, resting her head against his chest, relief flooding her. He stroked her hair. I'm fine, sweetheart. And you have Charles to take care of you. It was true. Since he had appeared, she hadn't felt alone. Not that she'd admit it. Hey, girl, he chuckled. You're soaking my pajamas. Sorry, she laughed through tears. It's just the emotion. I think we should let him rest now, Mrs. Delcourt said, stepping in. I haven't slept in 5 days, Claire murmured. Not well, at least, the nurse added. You're still weak. Rest is best. Your daughter and son-in-law can return later. As you wish. Edward winked at Charles. But may I say you brought a pretty nurse. Charles watched Delcourt leave. You're right, he smirked. Come on, dear, Claire said sweetly. With Mrs. Delcourt here, Daddy's in good hands. He smiled at her and kissed her lightly, pressing her hand, reminding her to play the devoted wife. She knows I'm a faithful husband. Only a few weeks married, Edward chuckled. Quiet, Edward, the nurse scolded. Unless you want a headache. I think I already have one, he sighed. See you tomorrow, Daddy. Just not too early, he waved. In the car, our little performance gets better every day, Charles commented. Did I play my part well? Perfectly. And I did well, too. Thank you. She smiled faintly. I'm out of practice, but I'll soon be back to the routine of a passionate husband. Are you sure he'll recover? The doctor said the amnesia is temporary. And when his memory returns, we explain why we're together? No, I don't need to explain to anyone why I'm living with my wife. To no one. And you? Will you explain to some boyfriend? Boyfriend. She blushed. Yes. I don't have one. She still felt attraction for men, but hadn't gotten over Charles. After you left me, did you get involved with Ian? He asked suddenly. Not exactly dating, she said awkwardly. Did Ian tell you we met? He mentioned it. Just that? Yes. Relief washed over her. She had confided in Ian, spoken much about Charles, but never about the betrayal. That night, In the suite's living room, Janet Amory was focused on scattered papers. "Has Burroughs called yet?" Charles asked, urgent. "Not yet," Janet replied calmly. "He knows I need those figures to close the deal?" "I'm sure he does. But he's busy. Call him again." "Excuse me," Claire interjected. "I'm going to my room." She fell out of place there. She knew his obsession with work too well. Even wealthy, he worked as if life depended on it. Charles turned to her, as if remembering she was there. "Will you have dinner with me?" "I think not." "You will. You're busy. I'm sure you and Janet will be fine without me. I'll dine alone." He grabbed her arm and steered her toward the hall. "You will have dinner with me. And stop with these digs about Janet. Her fiancé wouldn't appreciate it." Her eyes widened. "She's engaged." "Yes, to my assistant, Richard Burroughs." A calm relief spread through Claire. If he knew she'd been jealous of Janet, she'd die of embarrassment. "And I don't mix romance with work. It interferes." "Nothing interferes with your work, does it? Unless it's this." He kissed her hard. Again, the world tilted. She resisted. "Let me go." "No." He kept hold of her, leading her to one of the rooms. "Never do that again." "But I told you I like kissing you." "And I hate it." "Liar. You like it." "I thought we weren't talking about the past." "It's not the past. I'm talking about now. You liked it as much as I did. We need to rehearse." "Rehearse?" "Yes. So it feels natural in front of your father. You must have learned a new way to kiss since we separated." "How dare you? Been with other men?" "Yes. But I haven't even been kissed." "How many?" he asked, amused. "A few. Fewer than you, certainly." "And did you sleep with any of them?" She went pale. "Of course not. And you? May I?" His smirk was wicked. "You," she laughed nervously. "In 5 years? You think I could live a single day without love?" "Maybe. If you want grounds for divorce, it won't be that. I don't want a divorce. I want to understand everything." "You don't want children." "Who told you that?" "You did. That was before. I was confused. You hated me when we lost a baby. If it were up to you, she would never have existed. You never understood. It's strange. I wanted to call him Charles. But he never lived to receive the name." She fled, locking the door. "Claire, open up, darling." She shook her head. She wouldn't. "Then I'll order dinner for 8:30. Don't be late." She sighed, collapsed onto the bed. She slept until just before dinner. Chose a light blue dress that highlighted her figure, a mix of elegance and fragility. At 8:25, she entered the room. He was swirling ice in his glass of whiskey, an unlit cigar beside him. "Your father's asleep." "All's well," he said. "Good. May I have a sherry?" She avoided his gaze. A knock interrupted. "That must be dinner," Charles said, going to the door. Food arrived. Wine, too. The night passed without arguments. Over coffee, she spoke. "I've been thinking, Charles." "Yes." "About our house." "And he'll remember the house well. We decorated it together. It might feel strange to bring him here. Maybe we should rent another place." "No need. But you still have our house, right?" "Yes." "Then why stay here?" "Memories." "Memories?" He stood, answered the phone. Janet entered. "Richard called," she said. Charles read the papers with excitement. "Call Jimmy now. Then tell Richard to come here. We'll finalize the details." Janet looked uneasy. "Sorry to intrude." "You're not," Claire replied. "Good night." "Good night, Claire," Charles murmured absently. She left quietly, feeling nothing had changed, except herself. How long could she endure this game? It was too soon to decide the ending. But deep down she knew, in the end, she would leave Charles again. Charles and Claire visited Edward every day. Sometimes together, sometimes separately. Claire preferred to be alone with her father. She was already exhausted from playing the role of the adoring young bride beside Charles. Alone, she could speak freely about how happy she was, and Edward seemed to believe it. On the day before his discharge, Claire went to the old house to make sure everything was in order. She also needed to speak with Mrs. McLeod and update her on the situation. Nothing had changed. The decor was the same, the furniture untouched, and the figure of the elegant, attentive housekeeper moved about as if the last 5 years had never passed. For a moment, Claire felt that accepting Charles's presence was becoming natural, maybe even comforting. "Look at this." Mrs. McLeod entered with a tea tray. "Just like the old days." "Thank you." Claire smiled. "You have no idea how happy I am that you're still here. Charles explained the situation, didn't he? Mr. Hargrave told me about your father. Such a terrible thing." She shook her head, genuinely concerned. "It really was. But thank God he's improving now. I prepared his usual room, the one he used when he visited. Perfect. You understand how delicate the situation is, don't you? He doesn't remember anything. Everything that happened after the wedding is gone." The next day, Claire and Charles brought Edward home. She quickly realized the charade would be even harder than she'd imagined. Now, with her father under the same roof, they would have to maintain the role of a happy couple all the time and avoid any emotional shock. His recovery depended on it. Edward looked great. Only the small bandage on his forehead betrayed the accident. When he entered the living room, he looked around with admiration. "I've always loved this house, but it was Claire who made it into a true home." "You're right." Charles looked at her almost tenderly. "I don't know what I'd do without my wife." "I can imagine, my dear. And you my daughter? You look a little pale." "I'm fine, father." She smoothed her skirt, trying to stay calm. "Claire, your father's concerned about your pallor," Charles insisted. "It's just emotion. Having you back is such a relief. I only wonder if that pallor might have another cause." Edward smiled, teasing. "Another cause?" "No." Claire stammered, her voice trembling. "Give us a chance, Edward." Charles intervened. "We've only been married a few weeks, remember?" "Excuse me." Claire turned quickly and left. "I'm not feeling well." She ran upstairs, her body in shock. That mention of all things. In their old room, she threw herself onto bed, her heart racing. Charles followed her in. "That was too much, I know." He sat beside her. "But try to understand." "You never understood, Charles." She pulled her hands away from his. "I didn't come here to fight. Especially not today." "I'm sorry. Go talk to your father. After lunch, he should rest. Use the time to breathe. I never thought pretending to be in love with you would be so hard." "Pretending?" He exhaled, as if taking a punch to the gut. "Maybe. I'll stay here this afternoon. I'll be working with Janet in the library. Then I can go out." Claire tried to sound indifferent, but a sting of jealousy crept in. Janet and Richard Burroughs seemed happy, but she already knew Richard. He was kind, though a bit passive. Nothing like Ian Smythe, Charles's former aide. Ian had always been more present. In their first months of marriage, Charles had left everything in his hands to spend time with her, until the day she told him about the baby. From then on, he started coming home late from work. "Claire, to your father, we've just gotten married. We're starting a new life. What if we really tried?" She stared at him, incredulous. Was this a real proposal? "You never needed a wife, Charles." "But I need you. Only you." His voice faltered. She felt the impact, but she couldn't allow herself to be swayed. "It's far too late for that. I'm going to see my father. Are you coming?" "In a minute." She left without looking back. In the living room, Edward was having coffee. He looked fragile, older, but when he saw her, his face lit up. "I'm sorry, dear. Charles told me you're not ready for children yet. And I agree with you. 18 is far too young to be a mother. Too young, father." So that was the excuse Charles had given for his attitude? During lunch, Claire made a tremendous effort to look happy. It was easy to fool her father, but not Charles. She ignored his glances, and as soon as Edward went upstairs to rest, she left. "Where are you going?" Charles caught her at the car. "To the city? I told you I was going out." "Where exactly?" I'm going to see Maggie. Remember her? Oh, yes. Off to see your friend. To call me a selfish bastard like last time. When was that? After you disappeared. She didn't know what happened. She said that. Yes. I hope you have a very pleasant afternoon. I will. I'll be back for dinner. Claire stiffened when she saw a red car pulling through the gate. Your secretary's here. That's right. Good thing you won't be alone. I'm never alone. Unless I want to be. I know, she said, slamming the door and walking away quickly. The image of Janet's smiling face lingered in the rear-view mirror. Claire pressed the accelerator. So Maggie had seen Charles after she'd left? Why hadn't her friend ever told her? Maggie had been her friend since school, daughter of an American horse breeder and an Englishwoman, a fashion designer by calling. She despised country life. Claire admired her independence and elegance. Charles didn't like Maggie, thought she was far too outspoken, never tolerated her presence. And Maggie, in turn, made no secret of her disdain for him. Claire arrived at the restaurant, and soon Maggie appeared, vibrant, radiant, with her red curls, freckles, and a daring dress she had designed herself. Claire, she hugged her warmly. You look beautiful. And so do you. They talked for a long time. Claire told her everything. And now you have to live with him again? Maggie was indignant. He's still my husband, Maggie. Only on paper. Do you really think he would have married you if he could have had you any other way? Maggie, you were so naive. If it were me, I would have slept with him right away and avoided all of this. Claire bristled. It was rare for her to be irritated with Maggie. You hardly know Charles. Oh, did I wake the lioness? What do you mean? You were always quiet, but when you blew up, no one could stop you. Claire took a deep breath. I'm sorry. I'm just going through a rough time. I can imagine. And Charles? Is he handling the abstinence well? I doubt it, Claire blushed. Has he tried? No. They fell silent. My father wants to open a boutique for me, Maggie said suddenly, but in the United States. And you're going? No. I'm seeing an incredible guy. I don't want to leave him. I'm making dinner for him tonight. You. First time in my life. I think I'm in love. That sounds serious. Maybe it is, but I have to go now. I'll call you, okay? After seeing Maggie, Claire always felt like a whirlwind had passed through her life, and now was no different. She sipped her tea slowly, in no hurry to return. A knock on the table startled her. A woman stumbled and almost fell. She was pregnant. Are you all right? Yes, just a little dizzy. Sit down. Would you like some tea? Thank you. I'm waiting for my husband. Please, make yourself comfortable. You're very kind. Not really. I can imagine how you feel. Do you have children? No. I lost one. I'm sorry. I almost lost this one, too. I'm Claire. Laura, nice to meet you. The warmth between them was immediate. They chatted easily. My husband is so busy he's always late. Mine was the same way. Claire caught herself using the present tense. When is the baby due? Next month. That's wonderful, Claire murmured. If only Charles had reacted like that. Here he comes. Laura's face lit up. Darling, over here. Sorry I'm late. Claire recognized the voice. Ian. She stood up, smiling. Claire, I can't believe it. It's really you. They hugged warmly. Laura watched, surprised. You two know each other? Claire is Charles's wife, Ian explained. I should go. Charles is waiting for me. Ian said quickly, You two are back together? No, or rather it's complicated. But Ian, my father's home now. Let's go out sometime. You and Charles can have dinner with us. Maybe. Laura's pregnant. I don't want to intrude. I love having company. Laura assured her. All right, Ian, call him. Will do. See you soon, Claire. Claire hurried to her car. She liked to see them again. They were a lovely couple. But she wasn't ready to play the perfect wife in public. Charles was pacing the living room when she got back. Where were you? I told you. I called Maggie. She said you left the restaurant a while ago. Are you spying on me? I was worried. Really? You left so quickly? If you must know, I ran into Ian and his wife. She gave him the short version of the encounter. They invited us to dinner. Do you want to go? I liked her, but we'll go. Your father won't mind. I'll set it for next week. All right. Edward entered the room. Hello, Father. You're looking wonderful. I feel well, but Charles was worried you were late. Forgetting your married life already? I've already apologized. Everything's fine. Then you should knock before coming in, he laughed. Father! Claire feigned laughter. I'm going to change for dinner. And my kiss? Charles teased. You've had enough for today. Claire left smiling until she closed the door. She could hardly wait to make her feelings about those public kisses very clear. Charles was impeccable at dinner. Attentive, charming. Edward seemed delighted. At least he believed the act. After dinner, they played cards. Charles won, as always. Claire remembered the nights when he'd taught her poker. And she always ended up without clothes. Claire, you're distracted, Edward observed. She glanced at Charles. He knew exactly what she was thinking. His smile was pure mischief. Sorry, Father. I'm tired. We all are, Charles said, putting the cards away. Anyone want a last drink? Yes, thank you, Edward accepted. Not for me. Good night. Just because you're married now doesn't mean your father doesn't deserve a kiss. Of course he does. She kissed him, looked at Charles coldly. He didn't ask for a kiss. In the bedroom, everything was the same, except the huge bed which would be hers alone. She heard her father's footsteps upstairs. She came out of the bath wrapped in a towel and, upon entering the room, almost stumbled back. Charles was there, loosening his tie. What are you doing here? Getting ready for bed. Isn't it obvious? You're not sleeping here, Charles. Try to stop me. Claire's eyes flashed, sharp and intense. Don't even think about it, Charles. I agreed to share this house with you, but not the bed. Sleep in another room, just like before. My father's using that room. Then pick another. We have plenty in this house. She clutched the towel tightly. I'm staying right here. What do you think your father would think if we slept apart? He doesn't have to know. As long as he doesn't see, he'll never suspect. And if you leave, Claire? I don't think so, Charles. He grabbed her firmly by the arm. It's time we settle this. Settle what? She looked at him cautiously. She could see something in him she hadn't seen in a long time. You know exactly what. I don't. And let go of my arm. You're hurting me. Do you remember how it was, Claire? I don't remember anything. You walked out of my life years ago. Then maybe I should help you remember. No, Charles. Yes, Claire, he whispered, bringing his lips closer. Think about me now. Feel. She wanted to deny it. But before she knew it, her hands were around his neck, her lips parting. You still want me? Yes. Yes, Claire. He lifted her easily. The towel fell to the floor. She didn't stop him. Charles laid her on the bed with restrained urgency. He undressed slowly, his eyes never leaving hers. You smell so good, he murmured, brushing his lips along her neck, with a tenderness that made her shiver. She touched him, the heat of his skin, the muscles under her fingertips. It was as if not a single day had passed. Claire let herself be carried away by what she felt, without words, without defenses. When their bodies came together, the rest of the world disappeared. It was like reliving a dream, but stronger, more real. There was no hesitation. Afterwards, Charles looked at her with clouded eyes, stood up, and put on a robe. He lit a cigar, massaging his temples. I don't even know how that happened. What I mean is that it was a mistake. Claire pulled the sheet up, covering her naked body. Not exactly a mistake. Of course it was. Something that needs to be forgotten. Forgotten? You think I can pretend nothing happened. Try. Pretend I was just another woman in your bed. Can I sleep now? I'm tired. Charles put out the cigar abruptly and grabbed her by the shoulders. Claire, You can't just close your eyes. What do you suggest? You really want to know? And it happened again. This time, slower, as if he were rediscovering her. Every touch carried meaning. Every caress, a memory. And in the end, there was nothing left but the two of them, united, in silence. The next morning, Claire woke still in Charles's arms. She slipped out carefully, choosing her clothes for the day. She tried not to think about what had happened. After all, they were still legally married. Mrs. McLeod appeared in the living room while Claire was looking for her purse. "Tea, Mrs. Hargrave?" "No, thank you. I'm going out for a bit. I think my father's still asleep. Shall I prepare lunch?" "Yes, I'll be back before he wakes." She drove aimlessly. She needed to get her thoughts in order. The night before, she had dropped every defense. Charles had touched her like before, and for a moment, it had all come rushing back. She realized then that the love she felt still existed, and that was frightening. She would have to hide it at any cost. She drove through quiet streets until she felt steadier. She was resolved. She would accept the affection, the moments, but reveal nothing. She wouldn't fall into the same trap again. When she returned, Edward was already in the living room. "Charles just left," he said, smiling when he saw her. "So the two of us, let's enjoy the day. Suggestions? How about a walk?" "Excellent idea." After lunch, they strolled through the streets, hand in hand. They looked like a father and daughter on vacation. Claire felt light, almost happy. "People are looking at me strangely," Edward said good-humoredly. "Must be my age." "Then let's give them a good reason to look." She kissed his cheek, playfully. "That's great for the ego," he laughed. "Marriage has done you good. My dear, you didn't think it would?" "I had my doubts, knowing how Charles felt about you." "He talked about that with you?" "Yes, before he asked you to marry him. That's why I told you both to wait." Claire swallowed hard. "So, you knew that all he wanted was—" "Claire, you wanted to marry him so badly. I thought you could handle it." "And I did. We're happy, Father." "I'm happy for you." He glanced at his watch. "We'd better head back. It's almost dinner time." When they returned, Claire expected to find Charles. But he wasn't in the living room or in their room. "Mrs. McLeod, has Mr. Hargrave come in yet?" "No, ma'am. He called to say he'd be late." "Oh." "He had a business meeting. Said not to wait for him." "All right. Serve dinner at the usual time." In the bedroom, Claire looked at the bed. Hours earlier, they had been there together. Now, he was using the same old excuses. But this time, he wouldn't see her cry. When he came back, she would be asleep. No sign of Charles? Edward asked when he found her. "Business. Would you like a drink?" She poured herself some sherry and whiskey for her father. "I've been thinking about going back to work," he said. "I can't stand sitting around." "It's still too soon. Miles is taking care of everything," Claire reassured him. "How about having him come here?" "I'd rather go to the office." "Absolutely not. The doctor only discharged you on the condition you rest." "Fine, but I want Miles here tomorrow morning." Later, when Edward went to bed, Claire went up as well. It was only 10, but she wanted to avoid talking to Charles. She settled into bed with a book. The car pulled in after 11. Charles came upstairs and hesitated at the door. When he walked in, Claire pretended to read. "Did you have a good day?" "Yes. We went for a walk." Mrs. McLeod mentioned it. He studied her, waiting for a reaction, but Claire smiled. "It was wonderful. I can imagine. Your father is really better. He decided to see Miles tomorrow. I suggested Miles come here." "Good idea." "And your day?" "Nothing special. A bath would do you good. Afterwards, I could massage your neck. Remember how that relaxed you?" Charles looked at her, surprised. Claire was calm, serene, seductive. "Claire, last night I asked you to come back to me. And now this. It's just a massage. But if you'd rather, I can go to sleep." "Of course I want it. 2 minutes." He rushed to the bath and came back wrapped in a towel. He lay face down. he murmured as she began to work on his back. You have the most sensual hands in the world. She massaged him with precision, feeling the warmth of his skin, the firmness of his body. Charles seemed to melt completely. Remember Norman's son? He's back from New York. I vaguely recall. That's why I was late. I had to meet him. I understand. You needed to work. But after last night... Last night? What was so special about it? Claire, don't play with me. It was natural. We're married. Then why don't you come back for good? I can't decide that based on one night. Charles stood, pulling on his robe. Where are you going? To get a drink. Like that? I can go naked if you prefer. Are you coming back? No. She turned out the lights and nestled into bed. Minutes later, he returned. He sat beside her, still irritated. Claire, I want you. I'm not refusing you, Charles. I don't understand. You say you don't love me, that you don't want to come back, but you come to bed with me? You're a good lover. And I missed you. Come here. She went, and it was even better than the night before. Claire, have there been other men? He asked afterwards, lighting a cigar. No. Why not? I was always traveling with my father. No time. You could say that. You have time now. I do. Then he put out the cigar and pulled her into his arms again. The next morning, loud knocking at the door woke her. Charles, in his robe, answered. What is it, Mrs. McLeod? Mr. Hargrave. Forgive me. I didn't know. Just say it. She handed him a newspaper. Charles read the headline and cursed. Has Mr. Darrow seen this? Yes, sir. He's very upset. He's in his room? Yes. Thank you. Leave it to us. What happened? Claire got up. Charles handed her the paper. Edward Darrow in accident. Suffers memory loss. How'd the press find out? Claire asked, panic rising in her voice. We'll discuss that later. Call Dr. Jonas. I'll try to calm your father down. The doctor promised to arrive in 10 minutes. Claire dressed quickly and ran to her father's room. He was completely beside himself, eyes wide with agitation. I had the right to know. I'm no child. Calm down, Edward. Of course you're not, Charles replied firmly. Then why did you hide this from me? Father. Claire rushed to him, embracing him. We did it for your own good. The doctors. Oh, the doctors. What were they thinking? Not telling me I've lost 5 years of my life. 5 years. Do you realize I'm 51, not 46? Are you complaining about being older? You can say that because you're 23. I'm 51. He was visibly shaken, but began to calm down when Dr. Jonas entered the room. Charles paced in the office, puffing on a cigar. How could this news have leaked? He muttered. I have no idea, Claire replied. No one besides us knew in the hospital staff. I doubt it came from there. He grabbed the newspaper from the desk. The reporter's name is Ben Durston. Ever heard of him? Never. Probably someone from the hospital. Maybe a nurse. He put on his coat. Where are you going? After that reporter. I need to know who talked. Your father's shaken, but he seems to be holding himself together. Will you be back for lunch? Depends how long this takes. Should I tell Miss Delcourt you'll be here? Will you be here? I don't know. Last night... Oh, Charles, please. Don't bring that up. You enjoyed it, didn't you? Of course I did. Then stop complicating things. We can't go on like this as if that's all it is. Why not? We're still married. I feel like I don't know you anymore. Maybe you never did. You never had the time. I'm making the time now. Is that a threat? It's a decision. He left, slamming the door behind him. Claire returned to her father's room. The doctor was finishing his examination. Well, doctor? It was a shock, no doubt, but overall he's fine. Wonderful. Wonderful? I find out I've lost 5 years of my life, and it's wonderful? Edward grumbled, trying to get out of bed. Lie down, please, the doctor ordered firmly. Today is for rest. I'll prescribe something to help you sleep. If you think I'm just going to lie down and sleep, You're mistaken. I'm going out to make up for lost time. If you don't rest, you'll go back to the hospital. Your choice, Mr. Darrow." To Claire's surprise, he obeyed and lay back without protest. Alone with her, the doctor explained, "Right now it's just anger. But when he realizes there's a 5-year gap, he may panic. Rest will help. We'll make sure he follows orders, doctor. Call me if anything gets out of hand. In any case, I'll return tomorrow." Now that he knows the truth, there's a chance his memory will return little by little. If that happened, she and Charles wouldn't have to keep pretending they were still married. "It's best not to force anything, Mrs. Hargrave. Time will be the best medicine. Is your husband home?" "He went out, but should be back soon. He's trying to find out how the news reached the press." "A shame. At least your father is reacting strongly. In some cases, the shock causes permanent damage." Indeed, Edward seemed calmer at lunch. Claire placed the pills in his hand. "Here, take these. You'll sleep well." "These 5 years have made you bossy," he grumbled, but swallowed the pills. "And you haven't seen everything yet, Father," she teased. "I hope I don't get any more shocks." "You'll be fine. I never liked the idea of turning 50. Well, you did it in style. There was even a party. Here." "No, in France." "Were you and Charles there?" She couldn't recall where Charles had been that day. They'd received a telegram, but the place it had slipped from her memory. "Do you need anything else?" "No, dear. Thank you. Rest well. See you later." When Claire went downstairs, Charles still hadn't returned. She felt the old frustration stirring in her chest. "Telephone Mrs. Hargrave," announced Mrs. Delcourt. Finally, she thought, maybe it sensed her irritation, as if he could feel, even in silence, how deeply hurt she was. "Hello. Claire, what happened? You sound upset." "Maggie, and I am. Because of Charles? Who else would it be? Is he there?" "No." "Then come over. I want to show you my new sketches. And I feel guilty for spending so little time with you the other day. I'll be there in 15 minutes. Maggie's apartment was modern, eccentric, bursting with personality. Claire looked visibly tired. She'd barely slept. "You look awful." "Thanks for the encouragement," Claire said wryly. "I meant that as a friend. Sit down." Maggie handed her a drink before she could refuse. "This is whiskey? I forgot you don't drink." Claire coughed, making a face. "Better?" "I think so. Come see the designs." They sat around the work table. Maggie's gorgeous sketches spread out. "They're incredible. And there's a boutique interested. Exclusive. 1 piece of each design. That's wonderful news. If I sign, I'll have to spend a few more years here in Europe." "But your father wanted to open a boutique in the United States." "Exactly. And there's more. My boyfriend wants to come here. And do you want that?" "Very much. But I won't show it." "Are you two getting married?" "Oh, Claire, he's married." Claire fell silent, trying not to judge. It reminded her too much of Charles's affair with Allison Marlowe. When she returned, she saw an unfamiliar car in the drive, next to Charles's Mercedes. "Claire." Charles came to meet her, smiling. "Where have you been? And have you been drinking?" "Yes," she said firmly, forcing a smile as she entered. "Aren't you going to introduce me?" "No need," her father cut in. "You know Miss Delcourt." "Nurse Delcourt." Claire masked her surprise. "You look so different without the uniform." "It fools a lot of people." The young woman laughed. "Even your father didn't recognize me." Claire tried to stay calm. This was typical Charles. She had to stop being jealous. Not every pretty woman was a threat, but the way he looked at and "I should go. My shift at the hospital starts soon," and said, "You're very kind, give me a ride," Edward commented. "I'll get my coat." "Where you going, Father?" "Dr. Jonas wants to run some tests. I called him after lunch." "And Miss Delcourt offered to pick you up?" "I was just passing by," and replied. Claire doubted it. It smelled of another motive, one that started with Charles. "Thank you very much, Miss Delcourt," she said stiffly. Anne's wonderful, isn't she? Charles teased. When they were alone, Claire couldn't hold back, hoping to see her again. And you will too. You think I don't notice? You don't like her? Does it matter? It does. Did you meet anyone besides her today? Not many. The paper refused to comment. The reporter works on his own, and no one would say where he got the story. You could at least have told me you wouldn't be back for lunch. Just like you told Miss Delcourt. I said I'd be gone for only an hour, but your lunch caused trouble. According to her, everything went fine. Everyone was served without a problem. Claire bit her lip, restless. Where were you this afternoon, Claire? Out walking. Where exactly? Out, Charles. You've been drinking. Yes, I have. With who? Maggie. You're lying. Who was it? A lover? I have no lover. I was with Maggie. I doubt it. Then call her. That loud woman? I bet you two planned this. Charles, please. You lied. You drank whiskey on purpose. It was an accident. I didn't know. You're lying to me. Suddenly, he pulled her into his arms. What are you doing? She tried to break free. We're going upstairs. Charles, not like this. There's only one way I know to find the truth, Claire. The look he gave her was intense, unrestrained. In that instant, Claire knew he would make her forget any resistance. In the only way they both understood. Charles dressed in silence, sitting on the edge of the bed. His movements were quick, yet controlled, without aggression. He kept his back to Claire, who watched him quietly, suppressing the urge to call him back. Lying there, covered only by the crumpled sheet, Claire let her gaze drift over the clothes scattered around the room. The dress tossed on the armchair, a silent reminder of everything that had happened. He had taken her into his arms with an urgency that spoke louder than words, a restrained desire marked by years of silence and resentment. She had told the truth about her afternoon with Maggie. He had listened in silence, without interrupting, and though he hadn't made any comment, Claire believed that, in part, he wanted to believe her. But the way he'd said it, as if he needed to convince himself or convince her, had left deeper marks than she imagined. Claire clutched the sheet to her chest. That moment had been more than desire. It was memory. It was release. But perhaps for him, it had been nothing more than a way to escape what stood between them. Charles, she whispered softly, do you believe me? She reached out, touching his shoulder, but he didn't answer right away. He only pulled away. I believe you, he said, fastening his shirt with his eyes fixed on the floor. At certain moments, yes. And without looking at her, he left the room. Claire sat up slowly, the sheet sliding from her shoulders. The pain wasn't new, but tonight it felt sharper. He hadn't said anything cruel, but the silence, the absence, the distance, it all hurt more than any word could. Hearing the sound of the door, she wiped her tears, straightened herself, and took a deep breath. There was still dinner ahead, and her father would be returning from the hospital at any moment. Later, Edward Darrow arrived. He looked tired, but happy to be home again. While he and Charles talked in the living room, Claire called the housekeeper. Mrs. McLeod, please prepare a room for Mr. Hargrave. It's already ready, ma'am, she replied naturally. Mr. Hargrave himself asked us to prepare it this afternoon. He said he might have trouble sleeping and didn't want to disturb you. Claire forced a smile. At least she wouldn't have to justify her decision. He had already made it himself. When she went upstairs to get ready for dinner, Claire was touching up her lipstick in the mirror when Charles walked in. She tried to keep her expression neutral. Your father's waiting. I'm coming. He looked at her for a moment, then sighed. Claire, don't worry. Nothing that happened today will happen again. From now on, I'll be sleeping in another room. Until I leave. She felt the blow, but didn't show it. As you wish. That's what I expected. Shall we? Yes. After dinner, Claire stayed in the living room with her father. Dr. Jones wants me to spend part of the day at the hospital, Edward said. He says it helps stimulate memory. And you'll leave Mr. Miles in charge? For now, yes. The deal with Landers is already well underway. When Edward went to bed, Claire was left alone with Charles. And at last she spoke. "You said I never show my true self, but maybe it was you's always been hiding. Are you suggesting I'm afraid? I'm saying you hide behind control, behind silence, and you've never let me see who you really are. And you? Have you always been honest?" "With my feelings, yes. You just never wanted to listen." He simply turned away. "Good night, Claire. That's it. It's too late." And he left, leaving her alone. Claire took a deep breath, trying to keep her composure. But inside, everything hurt. Memories wrapped around her like fog. She remembered that afternoon, years ago, standing hidden in the hallway, hearing Allison laugh. What if she finds out? Charles asked, tense. "She won't," Allison replied. "And even if she does, it won't change anything. We'll travel before the baby is born. I'll take care of it." Claire had run off, her heart in flames. That was the day the pain consumed her, and the baby was gone. That night, unable to sleep, Claire left the house. She walked through Geneva in the cold silence of the early morning. When she returned, it was past 4. She entered to the kitchen in search of coffee, but heard a noise coming from Charles's office. Concerned, she went to check. She found him collapsed on the sofa, a bottle of whiskey in his hand. The smell was strong. "Charles," she called softly. He only groaned, turning his face away. "Come on. You can't sleep here like this." "Leave me." She shook him. At that moment, Edward appeared at the door. "Need help?" "Yes." "He's not well." "What happened?" "We fought." "That happens." "Let's get him upstairs." With effort, they climbed the stairs, and without thinking, entered her room. Too late to change that. "Need help with him?" "No, Father. I'll take care of it." "Good night, dear. Don't be too hard on him tomorrow." Claire nodded. She sat beside Charles and watched him. He murmured incoherent words, looking like a lost little boy. The next morning, Claire went down for breakfast. "Is he alive?" "He is." "A hangover like that can teach a lesson." "Maybe, but I don't know if he'll learn." "You're stubborn, Claire. Everyone has the right to make mistakes." "But I admit, I've never seen Charles like this. He's always been so controlled." She only nodded, saying nothing. Inside, she knew something was changing, and it could no longer be ignored. When she returned from the hospital that afternoon, Charles had already gone to the office, and judging by Mrs. McLeod's tone, he wasn't in a good mood. "Will Mr. Hargrave be here for lunch?" "I think not." Claire decided she wouldn't eat at home either. She called a friend. "Laura, it's Claire. Are you free for lunch?" "Claire, so good to hear from you. I'm so bored and more pregnant than ever. That would be great. I need a distraction, too." Laura was more beautiful than ever, even with her huge belly. "I'm exhausted," she said with a smile. "And Ian can't stand hearing about babies anymore." "Man," Claire smiled back. "I was so sad about your loss, Claire. It was so long ago, it's part of me now. But you two are back together. That's good." Claire hesitated. "We're coexisting." Then she saw it. She stopped speaking, her eyes fixed on a point behind Laura. "Claire, what is it?" She didn't answer. She only stared. Charles had just walked into the restaurant, accompanied by Delcourt. Claire felt her stomach twist. Her suspicions had been right. And Delcourt was indeed Charles's new companion. And apparently, her father would be left without a ride. Charles had chosen the nurse for lunch instead. "Claire, are you all right?" Laura asked, concerned. "Yes. Would you mind if we went somewhere else?" "Of course not. We can leave right now, if that's what you prefer." "I do." Claire stood quickly, trying to keep her composure. They slipped out discreetly through one of the restaurant's side doors. Charles didn't see them. He was laughing, completely focused on Anne. Claire had never felt so humiliated. "Claire? I'm sorry, Laura. I didn't mean to ruin our lunch." "Oh, come on. Let's go to my place. We can talk there in peace." Laura's house was always warm and inviting, But Claire barely noticed the details. She sat in silence on the living room sofa, her face pale, her posture rigid. "Sue, coffee, please," Laura told the maid. "Claire, are you sure you don't want something to eat?" "Absolutely not. Thank you. Do you want to tell me what happened?" "There's not much to tell. Claire, you left the restaurant looking devastated. You need to talk." "I just didn't want Charles to know I saw him. That's all." "Why?" "Because he was occupied with in Delcourt." "That nurse? The one who took care of your father?" Claire nodded. "And it seems she's now turned her attention to my husband. Are you sure? Is there another explanation? Having lunch with her? Laughing like that? There could be several explanations, Claire. You don't know Charles. He doesn't have lunch with a woman without a reason. He doesn't do that out of courtesy." Sue returned with a coffee tray. Laura thanked her and waited for the maid to leave before continuing. "Let's talk about you, Claire." "No, we're talking about Charles. And that's completely different." "So, you two aren't together anymore?" "We still live under the same roof. But that doesn't mean we're together." "I'd already noticed. You were distant the last time we met. You're much more perceptive than I thought. My father used to say, when you want something, you have to go after it. Hold on to it tightly." "Are you suggesting I chase after Charles? That's useless now." "I don't believe that. Ian has always told me Charles was completely in love with you." "Ian was wrong. Charles doesn't love anyone for long." "Claire, it's no use. And I'm not the type of woman he prefers." "Nonsense. Men don't have just one type. Charles does. He likes blondes, the kind it represents." "Then why did he marry you?" "Maybe he was enchanted. But the enchantment lasted only 6 months, the exact length of our marriage. In the end, whose fault was it?" "Both, I think." Laura handed her a cup. "Tell me, where did you go wrong and where did he?" Claire took a deep breath. Her hand trembled slightly as she held the cup. "When I was pregnant, I found out Charles was cheating on me. It was too much for me. That same day, I lost the baby. And after that, I couldn't stand him coming near me. I left because you couldn't let him touch you anymore." "Yes. But Claire, your reaction was from pain, from trauma, not from aversion. I know that now." "You do? And you still love him?" "Madly. And maybe that's exactly why I tolerate the way he treats me. But I won't share Charles with another woman. I'm not made for that." "You're right. I went through the same thing with Ian. I found out he was cheating. I ended it, and I demanded a choice. And he stayed with me. I admire you for that. I maybe didn't have that courage." "Of course you did. You left. But tell me, Claire, are you sure Charles never drank before? You seemed shocked at his drunkenness the other night. I'd never seen him like that. Never." "Well, I have. Several times. He and Ian used to overdo it a lot before you came along." "Are you sure?" "Absolutely. Believe me, Claire." Claire stayed quiet for a few seconds. That revelation surprised her. Charles always seemed so in control. "I have to go." She stood up. "My father should be getting back from the hospital, and I don't want him to be alone." "Of course. Call me later? And dinner? We're still having it with Charles, right?" He confirmed, but with this in business, everything feels uncertain now. "I really want to see you too. And soon. The baby's almost here. I'll call. I promise." On the way back, Claire couldn't get Charles out of her mind. The image of him laughing with and ate away at her. And now, even more confused, she knew Charles had had his moments of weakness before. So that night hadn't been an isolated incident? Who was this man, really? When she got home, she saw Charles's car parked outside. Strange. She thought he'd be with Anne. He appeared in the hall as she walked in. He was pale. She tried to pass him, but he stepped in front of her. "Where's my father?" "Is that how you greet someone?" "That's how I greet you. Claire, about last night. Let's not talk about it. I need to apologize. The problem isn't just last night. It's the chain of everything." Claire, he tried to touch her, but she pulled back. I already know where this will lead. Will you answer, or will I have to make you? Her face went pale. Charles, don't you dare. Are you challenging me? Yes. He grabbed her by the arm and marched her upstairs with firm, determined steps. Where are you taking me? To the bedroom. We're settling this now. You've lost your mind. Maybe, but I'm tired of your silences, Claire. Once inside, he slammed the door shut. Claire stepped back, trying to stay calm. Why are you doing this? She asked, her voice trembling. Because I need answers. Now. She stood there, refusing to show fear. I have nothing to explain. Claire, his voice was caught between anger and desperation. If there's someone else, say it. I want to know who you've been seeing. And if there is, what will you do? I deserve to know. She turned away, picked up a robe from the chair, and put it on slowly, with dignity. You have no right to demand anything. Then admit there's someone. Be honest. And you? Have you ever been honest with me? He stepped closer, but stopped just short. Claire, no. Stop this. This obsession with controlling everything. With thinking you can come here and demand answers, when for years you pretended I didn't exist. She walked into the bathroom and locked the door, her breath uneven. Go away, Charles. Don't come after me. Claire, open the door. I just want to talk. I won't touch you. I've heard that before. Silence. So this is it? There's nothing left. A marriage can't survive on memories alone, Charles. That's all you have left? Yes. More silence. I'm leaving, he said finally, his voice restrained. I won't bother you again. She stayed inside for long minutes, listening to the silence take over the house. When she finally opened the door, the room was empty. On the armchair, her dress still lay there, unbuttoned, forgotten, as if it too knew something had been lost. Claire walked to the edge of the bed and sat down slowly, wrapping her arms around herself in an attempt to hold the emptiness inside. Then, without resistance, she let the tears fall. This time it was final. It was over. Charles kept his word. He didn't seek her out again. In the weeks that followed, Claire had lunch with Laura a few times. Dinner with the Smythes had to be postponed. Charles went on a business trip and was away for nearly a month. During his absence, Claire felt lighter. She saw Maggie a few times. Her friend was excited about her new project, and her boyfriend had moved in with her. Her father's health remained stable, but the amnesia didn't improve. Edward returned to the hospital regularly, and only rarely risked going to the office. When Charles returned, he was thinner, and even more distant. Got plans for tonight? He asked one day, finding her in the garden. Why? Ian's called several times. Laura really wants to have that dinner before going to maternity ward. Claire hesitated. I don't know, but I can't disappoint Laura. She's determined. She doesn't take no easily, because she knows Ian loves her. They understand each other. They don't have to pretend. And I do. You always have. But not with you. It didn't work, Charles. Maybe you're right. There's no need to pretend anymore. Laura already knows the truth, and I'm sure she told Ian. You told her everything? I didn't have to. She figured it out on her own. What time's dinner? 7:30. Then I'll get ready. She walked back toward the house, feeling his eyes follow her. If only she could stop feeling anything at all. She dressed with care, chose a blue dress that hugged her figure with elegance, the neckline generous, hinted at her femininity with class. When he saw her, Charles didn't hide his reaction, but quickly covered it, helping her with her coat. Thank you, she said coolly. Your father's out for dinner. He called while you were getting ready. In the car, the scent of Charles's aftershave mixed with the smell of the cigar he lit. Claire felt nauseous. Could you put that out? Sorry, I didn't think it would bother you. Tonight it does. Want me to open a window? No need. It'll pass. Want to go back? No. Ian and Laura are expecting us. The ride felt endless. When they arrived, Laura opened the door with a broad smile. Claire. She hugged her. Hello, Charles. Not long now, huh? He said. 2 days officially, but it could be any time. Let's hope it's not tonight. Fingers crossed. Charles, go to the living room. Ian's waiting with a whiskey. Claire, come with me. In the bedroom, Laura got straight to the point. How are things? A disaster? He's still with her? Yes. You need to tell him. Tell him you saw that woman with him at the restaurant. Not yet. I'm not sure it's the right time. Claire, you need to decide. During dessert, Claire felt dizzy. She set her fork down slowly. Are you feeling unwell? Charles asked, alarmed. She nodded. He immediately stood, helping her. I'm sorry. I think the oysters at lunch didn't sit well. Claire, why didn't you say something earlier? I'll call a doctor right now. No, please, she replied, nervous. You can't be careless with seafood. These things can be dangerous. She doesn't seem to have a fever, Laura said, touching her forehead. Even so, a doctor would be better, Charles insisted. Maybe she just needs a rest, Laura suggested. I'll take her upstairs, Claire said, leaning on Charles. In the darkened room, she lay down with relief. I'm sorry for causing all this. It's all right, Laura smiled. Just rest. Charles, you can leave her with me. Claire, I'm already feeling better. Thank you. When he left, Laura came closer. You know, don't you? I know. I'm pregnant. And Charles, no. I found out today with the sickness. Laura, what do I do? And then she began to cry. What are you going to do, Claire? Laura stroked her head gently. I don't know. I'm so confused. Do you want this baby? Of course I do. Then what's the problem? The baby's father. It's not Charles. It is... Claire sighed. He's the only man I've truly loved. So, are you regretting getting pregnant? Regret isn't the right word. If I had loved someone else or resisted loving him, I wouldn't be here now. Laura studied her carefully. Is it really that complicated? Claire stayed silent for a moment. Then a small smile lit her eyes. You know how I really feel? Happy but scared. Her eyes shimmered. I love the idea of having Charles's child. I just don't want it to seem like a trap to make him stay with me. You think he would feel trapped? Laura asked softly. He told me himself that when my father recovers his memory, he wants me to start over away from him. He said that? Yes. Well, should I bring the tea? Wait. Claire held her friend's arm. You're not going to tell Charles, right? This isn't the time for that. But Claire, you know you can't hide it for long. I know. Last time, at only 3 months, I was already huge. Some women are like that. How long have you suspected? About 5 weeks. And you're certain you want this child? Absolutely. Laura stepped away to prepare the tea. Claire was left alone for a few moments, wrapped in a confusing mix of emotions, serene joy, a quiet fear, a timid hope. She knew she was pregnant. But still, she decided to schedule an appointment with Dr. Paul Anderson, her trusted physician. She needed to confirm it officially and calm her heart. Moments later, Laura returned to the bedroom, this time carrying a small suitcase. What are you doing? Claire frowned in surprise. I thought it wise to be ready. I've been having contractions for a few hours. Laura, you need to go right now. I still wanted to finish tidying up the kitchen. Forget the kitchen. Charles and I will take care of that while you're away. Claire helped her friend with calm determination. They went downstairs together. In the living room, they found Charles and Ian talking. Is it serious? Charles stepped forward, concerned. Laura simply nodded. Ian went pale. I'll call the car, Claire offered quickly. Leave it to me. I'll take you. Charles grabbed the keys. Perfect. Ian, we'll see you there. Claire left with Laura, ending the conversation with a wave. During the ride, they exchanged silent glances. Claire squeezed her friend's hand gently. When she returned home, she felt calmer. She went to the kitchen and, without thinking, began putting away the dishes left in the sink. She needed to keep her hands busy to steady her mind. She felt ready, strong enough to face what was coming, even if alone. An hour later, Charles appeared in the living room. "Ian will call as soon as the baby's born," he said, sitting across from her. "You look tired." "But I'm fine," she replied. "I can take you home if you'd like." "Thank you." Later, already in bed, Claire heard a light knock at the door. It was Charles, carrying a tray. "I brought hot chocolate. And this," he handed her a pill. "Is it for sleep?" "Just to help you relax." "I don't want any medication." He hesitated. Then he sat beside her in silence, close enough for her to feel his presence, but without touching. "Turn off the light," he murmured. She said nothing. She simply stayed there, warmed by the simplicity of the gesture. The next morning, she woke alone. The smell of fresh coffee filled the room. Charles appeared with another tray. "Laura had a boy. Ian called just now." "That's wonderful," Claire said, smiling softly. "We've been asked to be the godparents." Her eyes lifted, moved. "That means a lot." They shared a long look, as if, for an instant, something between them still remained. At lunch, reunited with Laura and Ian, Claire kept her composure, though she was visibly shaken. At the end of the meal, another wave of dizziness hit. "Must have been something I ate," she murmured, pressing her forehead. "I'll call a doctor," Charles said, alarmed. "No, please. It'll pass." Laura walked her to the bedroom, worried. Charles stayed behind, watching in silence, unable to hide his concern. At Dr. Anderson's office, the confirmation came clearly: 6.5 weeks pregnant. But the doctor was firm. "Claire, your health requires care. It's a delicate pregnancy. You'll need rest and constant monitoring." She nodded, saying nothing more. This wasn't the moment to tell Charles. For now, she needed to keep it to herself, protecting the new life quietly growing inside her. With the test in her hands, she held the paper gently. But the nausea, the weakness, and the tension became unbearable. Her vision darkened, her body swayed, and before she could ask for help, everything around her went black. Claire fainted. Right there, Claire regained consciousness slowly. She was lying on the consultation room's couch, and Dr. Anderson was watching her with visible relief. Everything came back in fragments. The test results, the confirmed pregnancy, the shock. "You fainted. Are you feeling better now?" he asked gently. She nodded, her gaze fixed on the ceiling. "You didn't know?" "Not for certain," she murmured, her voice trembling. "Why did Charles never tell me?" "I assumed he had. We separated right after losing that other baby." The doctor's expression softened with compassion. "So this baby, it's his." "We had a moment. Brief." "I see. And now, what do you intend to do?" "Whatever it takes to keep this child. I just need guidance." After a pause, he spoke with care. "Claire, you'll need absolute bed rest from start to finish." "The entire pregnancy?" "Yes, without exception." She drew a deep breath. "I'll do it. Do you want to face all this alone? Perhaps you should tell Charles." "That won't be necessary. Our marriage is over." With resolve, Claire rose to her feet. "You'll arrange a clinic?" "Yes, I'll make the call today." "Thank you. And let's keep this between us." "Are you certain?" "I am." She left. Outside, the gray sky mirrored the storm within her heart. She hailed a cab, desperate for someone who understood her old wounds. "Laura." Months passed. Claire woke to the soft sound of rain against the hospital window. Tiny, peaceful baby slept beside her. Time had passed in the quiet stretch of long weeks between fear and hope. When she returned home, Charles was waiting in the study, his face still tense, but curious. "Your father and I are engaged," he informed her quickly. "Yes," Claire replied, her dignity growing with each word. "And you? Did you have anything with her?" "Of course not," he sighed. "And has always been a family friend. That was just a dinner. Your father met us there." Claire's breath caught. "But I heard you with Allison planning a trip." She was resigning. It was about work. Charles cut in, his tone heavy. "I want to protect you from gossip." Inside, her voice screamed, even as tears threatened. "I thought I had all the answers." We paid a high price for my silence. I thought distance would keep you safe. She didn't answer. Her silence spoke of old wounds. I believed you didn't love me, she confessed. I thought you hated me, he said softly. He took her hand with reverence. Laura told me about the pregnancy. I found out too late, and even then I was afraid of hurting you more. So I waited for you, for this moment. Claire drew a long breath. I went to the clinic out of love, she said quietly, for the lives I carried inside me. I couldn't raise these babies under the weight of doubt. Charles stepped closer, his eyes shining. You did the right thing. But now that you're here, can I ask for a chance? She smiled through tears. There's still so much to discover. Can we start today? We can. He held her. In silence, they walked into the room where Mrs. McLeod appeared with a basket. Claire, are they? Your son, she said, placing the boy in his arms. And your daughter, she added, passing him the baby girl. Charles knelt, overcome, nearly undone by emotion. How did you manage all this without me? Because I had to, for my health, for theirs. And because at that time, trusting you would have destroyed me. I couldn't take that risk. Not for me, not for our children. He smiled faintly. I came back. They sat together with their children, the world at peace again. She will be Jordana, Claire said, and he, Matthew. Their eyes met with hope. 4 hearts now live in this house, Charles. May they never be apart again. He kissed her face with tenderness. Never again.